side, please.
This seems to be a movie that was invented to open a film festival. Would you, Joel and Ethan, would you call this a Valentine to old Hollywood? And where did the idea basically come from, or the inspiration?
The one that really is directly taken from life is, it's true that Loretta Young did arrange to adopt her own child. The other things we were, no, not literally, yes, I mean, I'm not sure that we were literally sort of modeling that on Clark Gable and George Cukor or Isadora Duncan. Honestly, I don't think that occurred to us. But yeah, the original idea for the movie came from us thinking about Eddie Mannix, not Eddie Mannix, the actual Eddie Mannix, whose character was quite different from the character that Josh plays, but Eddie Mannix, the fixer, Eddie Mannix, the guy who made the problems go away. That was interesting to us.
What was the question? I couldn't quite hear. Was it fun to do it? Something like that? Okay, the answer is yes. It was great fun. I mean, this film, to make this film was at least, if not more enjoyable to make than to watch, because all of these characters and all of these environments are just like it's like a mountain range, and you just get a tip of all of them. And we all had these fantasies about what else lay beneath. My fantasy about the Thacker twins was that they'd been put on the stage by some incredibly competitive stage mother, and they had failed to be movie stars, and they were incredibly bitter and competitive with one another. And so they turned into these, genius journalists.
Mr. Clooney, after watching your movie, I have one important question.
Uh-oh.
Are you, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party or any other communist organization?
I refuse to answer that on the grounds of my Fifth Amendment. And have you no shame, sir? Really, at long last, have you no shame? I do like that, I've done now 4 films with these guys, and every time they send me a script, they say you're going to play a knucklehead, and I'm always sort of willing to do it, but I didn't really know I was going to be this stupid in a film, and every time they send me a new script, I remember they sent me Burn After Reading, and they said, we wrote this part with you in mind, and he's like the biggest jackass who's got a sex toy in the basement, and I'm like, what's wrong with you people? And then they say, okay, now we got one. You're a willing imbecile who falls in with a bunch of writers who happen to be communists. So I have greatly enjoyed how much fun they make of me along the way.
Can we say
Yes?
that the same sense of humor that you have and you share with the directors makes your movie such a big success? Huh? Because
Man, that was
Success.
That was a long way to get to that question.
yeah,
I literally was an ingenue when that question started. Listen, I will say this. If I said anything nice about the Coen brothers, I was drunk at the time.
Okay.
I mean it. I will. Let's put a question, and I think it's important because you got a bunch of actors up here who are working with these boys. Channing, when you got a call from the Coen brothers say you want to do the movie, how did you respond?
I first poured turkey meatballs all over my shoes and did a little dance because I was so happy. No, you say yes. You don't even read it. You just say, I couldn't email fast enough back that I wanted to do the film. So, I think every actor up here probably did the same thing.
Alden, what did you do?
Me? Yeah.
Did you audition for it?
Yeah, I auditioned for it.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
No, you're kind of this father figure for all these persons we see in this movie. Did you also become on the set for all these young guys like Channingham and Alden, some kind of the father figure because you know also the Coen universe?
Well, I've always personally been the brat, so to actually turn this around and play a father figure, I think was a lot of fun. With them, with their characters, I think maybe except for No Country, I don't see myself as these characters, you know, but they seem to see something that is fun once you construct it that seems to work. So, yeah, I was surprised they hired me for something like this, but it was fun.
The most thing was the most fun to slap George.
Was that the most fun, slapping me?
Oh, always, yes. I think it's something that everybody's wanted to do at some point in their lives, and
It's a present for you from Pablo Picasso, 1951 from Berlin to you, and for you perhaps to do a film for solidarity and humanity for the people. I will give you.
Okay, thank you very much. You hand it over. Here, yeah, give it to me. I'll take a Pablo Picasso. This is an original, yes?
Yes, of course. Only original. Only original.
No expense spared. I thank you.
Be
But
careful.
listen, it's sort of tricky to do, Syriana too, obviously. There is a lot that has gone wrong, as we all know, and there's a lot of conversations that are being had and should continue to be had, not just in the film community, although, the unfortunate thing about the film community is we react to situations much more than lead the way. News stories have to continue to happen, and then scripts are written, and it takes a couple of years before people are actually making films about them. And it's also very difficult to just make a subject film. You have to have a reason, characters and reason to make it. I've often struggled with the idea of trying to find ways to make a film about the Sudan and about Darfur, which is something that's very close to me and I've spent a lot of time on, but haven't been able to find the proper venue, or not the proper script yet to be able to do it. It's a tough thing to do. I appreciate your wanting those stories told. I think they need to be told. I think best told right now in the news media. I think it's not told enough. Certainly in our country, it's not told enough and not talked about enough. It is unfortunately a political period in our country, so we're not talking about a lot of things that are going on around the world. But I do believe that, in fact, I'm having a meeting with Angela Merkel tomorrow to talk about and ask, what messages and what things we can do, and are the things that we can help with. But those are all the immediate things. But obviously, the news organizations need to be as responsible. And then hopefully it would be very nice, and I agree with you, if we could find a way to tell those stories in film. But they're not. It's hard to find a good script for anything, and you don't want to do it badly, because if you do it badly, you only get one chance to do that film. So I appreciate the request, and it certainly doesn't fall on deaf ears at all.